Bronze oil smears across 320 pounds of muscle. Randall Becker slaps another coat of competition tan onto his quads, the chemical smell sharp in his nostrils. June heat presses through the San Diego Bodybuilding Expo backstage. Concrete floors slick with sweat and spray. Mirrors line the walls, reflecting 50 bodybuilders in various states of bronze preparation. His palms stick to his skin with every stroke. Phil Garrison lines in, clipboard pressed against his chest. His voice drops low. That is Bruce Lee. Randall stops mid-slap. Across the prep area, past the forest of oiled shoulders and taped wrists, stands a man maybe 5'7". Lean, coiled, moving between competitors like water finding space between rocks. Randall wipes his hands on a towel, bronze streaks bleeding into white cotton. The guy who thinks technique beats size. The one who tells people being small is somehow an advantage. Phil nods, jaw tight. Around them, other competitors flex and breathe and slap their chests, psyching up for stage lights. But Randall's eyes stay locked on the small man across the room. 8 years of 750-pound squats. 8 years of bleeding into calluses. And this man thinks size does not matter. But what Randall did not know, what he could not know yet, was that in less than 5 minutes he would be on his knees. Randall crossed the prep room floor, each step carrying the weight of his conviction. The smell of spray tan hung thick around him, chemical and cloying. He stopped 2 feet from Bruce Lee, 6'6", looking down at 5'7". "I have heard about you." The words came out harder than he intended. "You teach people that being small is an advantage. That is dangerous advice." Bruce's gaze stayed level, no tension in his jaw, no defensive shift in his stance. "I teach that size alone does not guarantee victory." The response landed like a needle in Randall's certainty. Not a dismissal, not agreement, just redirection. Around them, competitors slowed their prep work. Phil stood frozen by the mirror rack, watching. Randall felt his pulse climb. This man was calm, too calm. The kind of calm that made Randall's forearms tighten, veins rising like power cables under the bronze oil. "Test it then." Randall heard the challenge leave his mouth before he could weigh it. Bruce tilted his head slightly. The overhead fluorescence cast no shadow on his expression. "Would you like to do that here?" The question hung in the air, soft and immovable. Phil's clipboard hit the floor. Randall flexed his thighs. 750 pounds on the squat bar, etched into the muscle memory like scar tissue. The quadriceps swelled, striations deepening under bronze oil. "I move weight you cannot imagine," his voice carried across the prep room. "In a real confrontation, I would break you." Around them, competitors stopped rapping their knees. Tape rolls dangled from hands. The air thickened, voltage before lightning. Phil's eyes darted between the two men, throat working silently. Bruce stood loose. His breathing remained unchanged. No tension in the shoulders, no flicker in the gaze. Randall's hands curled into fists the size of cantaloupes. 8 years of iron had built this fortress. 8 years of pushing through ligament pain and torn calluses. This man, this small man, stood in front of all that accumulated power and showed nothing. No fear, no respect. Bruce tilted his head, the movement barely perceptible. "Would you like to test that belief?" The question hung in the stale air, mixing with spray tan fumes and sweat. Randall's pulse hammered in his temples. Every instinct screamed that this moment would define something permanent. But what Bruce intended to do next, what precise action would follow those soft words, remained hidden behind the man's unreadable expression. "Right here, right now." Randall pointed across the prep room toward the doorway, past mirrors reflecting bronze shoulders and striated muscle. "You try to stop me from walking past you." Simple. Bruce moved into the path. Positioned himself loose, hands hanging low at his sides. No fighting stance, just standing. Randall grinned, rolled his shoulders. The deltoids shifted like boulders beneath skin, 8 years of iron discipline woven into every fiber. He had pushed through torn calluses, through nausea from forced meals, through the screaming burn of 750-pound squats. Pain was an old companion. Resistance meant nothing. He stepped forward, not aggressive, not charging. Just walking, the way a man walks when he knows concrete will crack before he does. His weight transferred smoothly from right foot to left, 320 pounds moving with the rhythm of 1,000 training sessions. The floor beneath his feet felt solid, predictable. Bruce did not retreat, did not brace. His eyes tracked Randall's hips, the center of mass, watching the giant approach with the stillness of someone reading a language only he understood. Randall closed the distance, 3 steps, 2, then Bruce's hand moved. Bruce's hand strikes the inner thigh, precise, no wind-up. The impact sounds like a knuckle tapping a side of beef, dull, unremarkable. Randall feels the pressure point collapse under 2 fingers, then nothing. His left quad goes silent mid-stride. The muscle simply stops receiving orders. 320 pounds of mass committed to forward motion with only one leg functioning. Physics takes over. His torso pitches forward, enormous shoulders tilting earthward, arms windmilling for balance that will not come. His palms slam concrete. The sound cracks through the prep room, flesh and bone meeting floor. Bronze oil smears across his hands, his right knee drops, kneeling, 6'6", reduced to a penitent pose before a man half his size. Randall stares down at his left leg. He commands the quad to fire, nothing. The muscle sits there unresponsive, a dead zone of tissue that moments ago pressed 750 pounds. Sweat cuts through the spray tan on his back, his breath comes shorter. What, the word scrapes out. Around him, competitors stand frozen, holding bottles and towels like statues witnessing something that violates every law they have built their lives upon. But none of that explains why his leg refuses to obey, or why the concrete feels so cold against his palms. Silence swallowed the prep room whole, not the silence of anticipation, the silence of disrupted certainty. Spray tan bottles hung suspended midair, bronze mist still drifting from nozzles. Competitors stood frozen, their old muscles locked in poses of disbelief. Phil's clipboard hit concrete, the plastic crack echoing like a bone snap. Randall stared down at his left thigh. Fire the quad, now nothing. He sent the command again, harder, desperate. The neural pathway that had moved 750 pounds remained severed. Bronze oil smeared across his palms, gritty concrete pressing into his kneecaps. 320 pounds balanced on one leg, one knee, 2 trembling hands. His breath came shorter, sharper. 8 years of discipline. 8 years building mass that people stepped aside for, that opened doors, that commanded respect through sheer presence. All of it useless, kneeling before a man 70 pounds lighter. The physics made no sense. Size was supposed to dominate, weight was supposed to win. Bruce stood above him, hands loose at his sides, breathing normal. Randall's chest tightened as realization crept through him like ice water. If one strike could remove a leg, how many strikes would it take to remove everything else? Bruce's voice cut through the prep room silence like a blade through water. Your 320 pounds required both legs, coordinating perfectly. Randall's palms pressed flat against cold concrete. The grit scraped his bronze-stained skin. I removed one leg, the system failed. The words landed harder than the strike itself. Randall had spent 8 years building redundancy, double the size, double the strength, double the safety margin. But Bruce had found the single thread that unraveled everything. I attacked your nervous system, the control center your muscles depend on. Competitors stood frozen, spray tan bottles suspended midair. Phil's mouth hung open. The room smelled of chemical bronze and sweat. Your size became a handicap because you could not hold it up. Randall tried flexing his quad again, still nothing, dead weight hanging from his hip. His breath came shallow, rapid. Bruce glanced at his watch. After 20 seconds, the leg returns. 20 seconds. Randall counted each one. The paralysis was temporary, but the lesson would be permanent. At 15 seconds, tingling crept through his thigh. At 19, muscle fibers flickered awake. At 20, sensation flooded back like water breaking through a dam, but standing up would not erase what just collapsed. Pins and needles flood Randall's quad. The sensation crawls upward through dead muscle, waking nerves fiber by fiber. He shifts weight onto the leg, tests it, holds. Bruce steps back, hands dropping to his sides. "You have built an incredible physique, truly elite." The praise lands harder than the strike. Randall's chest tightens. He stares at his bronze-stained palms, still damp from catching himself on concrete. 8 years of 5 a.m. training sessions, 750-pound squats, meal prep at midnight, all of it exposed in 3 seconds, but you have never trained the vulnerability points. Randall's gaze lifts to the watching crowd. Competitors hold spray bottles frozen. Phil's clipboard rests at his feet. Every eye measures him now, not for size, but for what size failed to prevent. Every body has them, regardless of size. The words settle into Randall's bones like cold iron. His jaw works, swallows. When he finally speaks, his voice barely carries past Bruce. "Teach me." Bruce nods once, sharp, certain. "After your competition, come find me." The prep room exhales. Competitors return to rapping knees, but the voltage lingers. Randall straightens to his full 6'6". The stage waits, but now so does something else. Stage lights blind Randall during the quarter turn. His routine flows automatic, front double bicep, side chest, rear spread, but the concrete sits cold against his palms every time he shifts weight. Bronze oil glistens under white heat. The judges scribble notes, faces blank, third place. The trophy weighs nothing in his massive hands. 2 weeks pass like held breath. Bruce's school in Los Angeles smells of sweat and floor wax, nothing like competition tan and hairspray. Randall crosses the threshold, 6'6" frame filling the doorway. Bruce looks up from where he demonstrates a wrist lock on another student. "I am here." Bruce releases the student's arm. "Then we begin with what you must unlearn." 3 years dissolve into repetition. Nerve maps drawn on anatomy charts, femoral, radial, brachial, each strike point memorized through touch and consequence. Balance drills on narrow beams while holding weight, not lifting, holding. System thinking replaces isolated muscle focus, how forces travel through joints where structure collapses first. 1973 arrives quiet. Randall returns to competition, same mass, different foundation. Judges lean forward during his posing routine, pens hovering. One taps another's shoulder, whispers something. Their eyes track movement quality, not just size. After the scores post, the head judge approaches with a question Randall never expected to hear. Stage lights burned white across Randall's shoulders as the announcer called his name. Mr. California, 1974. The trophy settled into his palms, cold brass heavier than expected. 320 pounds of muscle stood under those lights, but the weight that mattered pressed against his chest from within. Reporters circled backstage, notebooks flipping open. What changed since '73? He wiped bronze residue from his forearm, the scent of competition tanned sharp in his nostrils. Bruce Lee taught me that being 320 pounds makes me massive. He paused, searching for honesty beneath the rehearsed answer. Knowing how to protect that mass makes me functional. The quote printed in Muscle Builder magazine that August. Then Iron Man, then Strength and Health. Ink spread the words across gym walls from San Diego to New York, photocopied and taped beside squat racks. Decades later, mixed martial artists would drill the femoral strike in fluorescent-lit academies, referencing the bodybuilder who knelt. The story morphed, grew, solidified into something larger than one June afternoon in 1970. But those who were there remembered the true image, not the victory, not the trophy. Just 320 pounds kneeling on concrete, one leg dead, eyes wide, learning that size without system was simply mass waiting to collapse.